What's going on, everyone? Judd Burden here with Asphalt Kingdom, right here at Pavex. And we're right here with Tad McDonald. Good to be here with you, brother. We're right here at the Crafco booth. Of course, they've got great equipment in the background. But, you know, we've been working with Crafco products for quite some time. And so what I'm interested in doing is bringing you guys great value. And Tad's taken the time out of his busy day to be here with us to actually share and provide you guys with some value as well. So, Tad, with that being said, man, what makes or breaks a real solid crack fill job?
There are 4 golden rules to crack sealing. I always call it 4 golden rules, and you'll never find it anywhere else. Every crack sealing job has to start out with clean, dry. The surface temperature has to be 40 degrees and rising, and you don't want unsound pavement. That's the biggest. That base section right there is the biggest factor on whether the crack sealing is going to fail or not fail. The other piece is the right material, the right time. There's a lot of factors. Are you doing it on a road? Are you doing a parking lot? Where are you putting this material down? What section of the country you're putting this down in? Is it the northern part? Is it the southern part? Are you in Arizona? There's so many variables to the crack sealant world. You've got to ask all those questions before you put it down. And then the other piece is, are you doing a state job? You know, are you looking for what's on the QPL? Are there certain recommendations per state? There's all of that can determine the biggest piece of that. But I think overall, what everybody has to understand is, when you do this crack sealing, if you don't clean it the right way, if you don't do the 4 golden rules, you'll find, and a lot of people blame it on the material, what'll happen is that you'll get cracks down the side. That's an adhesive failure. When we're talking adhesive failures, that means the material didn't bond into the asphalt the right way. And when I say bond in the asphalt, what it does is the material will tendril into the asphalt and stick in the asphalt that way. So when it breaks down the sides, it's either clean, it's either dirty, or you had water in there. And then the other thing to think about when we're talking about the material itself, if you put too hard a material down there, and when it starts flexing, when the asphalt actually starts flexing, it may break down the middle or crack down the middle, and that's called cohesive failure. So that's why I'm saying all these things put together make or break the longevity of a crack seal job.
I appreciate that, man. And it's, you know, a lot of the time too, we see where clients have not cleaned the surface properly. They put down the crack sealer, and it's kind of like a Band-Aid on Vaseline. It just doesn't last. That's the analogy we use, right? And so the last thing you want to do is fail at the crack sealing job that you're doing, not just because it's a customer nuisance at the time, but also what happens is you don't build those lifelong accounts because they won't call you back again. And it actually makes the industry look pretty bad too. So make sure you're doing your crack sealing properly. As Tad said, 4 golden rules. I love that. Moving on to the next question. So there's certain environments where, of course, crack sealer may not be the ideal application, hot pour crack sealer or liquid pour in that sense. But somebody may want to choose mastic. Can you tell us a little bit about determining whether you should be using rubber crack sealer or liquid and mastics? Can you talk about that?
So everything for crack sealer is up to 1.5 inches. So 1/8 inch, 1.5 inch, and that's where the flex starts. When you get into the mastics, that's where you're looking for the load bearing capabilities. Also, if you're doing a spalled area, you can put that in there, because there are differences between working cracks, and they call them different. Going old school, a working crack is any crack that moves 1/8 of an inch annually a year. Anything that doesn't is just it's a non-working crack. They say you can put pretty much anything in there. So when you start looking at the aspects of every type of material out there, when you're looking at a spalled area, there's things going on in the sub base, but you want to put this mastic in there because it's voidless, it's seamless, water isn't going to go through, chemicals aren't going to go through. So when you're laying it over top of spalled areas, anything wider than 1.5 inches around manhole covers, around grates, anything that you want to fix on the pavement to level out, even towards when you were talking about bridge headers. Everybody knows that bridge header, when you hit it, you slam into the bridge and you drop. So with mastics, you can also level it out. And that's kind of what you're looking for, is a product that will help you level anything out. And also, when I talk load bearing, it has an aggregate in it that gives it strength, or gives it a more of load bearing. And then the other piece to it is you can also bulk it. So depending on how deep it is and all of that, you go from crack sealing, just standard cracks, just standard moving cracks, to any other application that you're looking at. Now, when I say any other application, there are caveats to that, because it's not a magic pill. It's not the perfect application for everything. And that's where you need to talk to your manufacturer or your sales guy and say, is this going to work here? And if your salesman says it works everywhere, I'd be talking to somebody else personally. It's just not that way. So, but it's online. You can see it online. Like I said, spalled areas. You can do transverse. Transverse joints are a big thing.
Little bird bass.
Little bird bass. So anything that you drop down into, you put it into, you level it out. Minnesota does about 8 million pounds of it a year just on transverse cracks. So when I'm talking transverse cracks, it's the cracks go side to side and they widen, so you feel it. It feels like cement going down. You can flush fill it and then level it out. You have a nice smooth ride. So that's kind of what you're looking at, is where the crack sealant stops and doesn't have the load bearing to it. It's where the mastic takes over.
That's awesome, man. So Tad, tell us a little bit more about transverse joints.
So a transverse joint is a joint that goes anywhere on the road from side to side, shoulder to shoulder. And what they do is they grow every year. Asphalt starts deteriorating. It's just the way it works. The oil starts coming out of the asphalt itself and it starts spreading apart, gets older, a little brittler. So it starts spreading it. And what you do is with those joints, they're about they can grow anywhere from that to yay wide across or apart. And what you want to do is take that material, flush fill it, because everything that's hot will shrink. It's just the law of whatever we do. So when you're doing that, if you don't flush fill it first and you just put that over top of it, what people have found out is you still get a little dip in it. It's still sealed, it's still done the right way, but you still get the bump, bump, bump. Not as hard, but you'll still get that. So the idea is with anything you want to do, you want to flush fill and make a nice level surface. It makes the job so much better. It saves wear and tear on the cars. You're just doing a bit better service.
Absolutely, and I know you probably have too, but like driving across bridges, you can feel exactly like that. Just brought me back to the dunk, the dunk, the dunk, and for those fast drivers, of course, it's the dunk, the dunk, the dunk.
And then the other piece to this is I talked about spalling earlier. A lot of people may not understand what spalling is. It's basically all when I'm talking about spalling is the fatigued areas or the alligator cracking, the block cracking, that type of thing. Whenever you look down the road, there's not an actual crack, but it's just fatigued.
Right.
And that's what you're looking to use that for. You can heat it. I love it at 400 degrees. The material at 400 degrees, you open up the gate because like on the back of this unit here, you can see you can't pump mastic. It's got the rock in it, it's got the aggregate in it. So when you open it up 400 degrees, it flows very nicely. You take a lute to it. You just kind of, some people call it dancing. I'm not a good dancer, so I don't call it dancing. You kind of mop it across the lane, or you kind of bring it across the lane and make a nice, smooth, level surface. You're filling in that. You'll throw a little topping stone over top of it to make sure it's a non-skid surface. And you've got yourself rock for load bearing. You've got a fatigued or blocked area that is solid. It's not going to let the water through, anything like that. And then you've got the non-skid on top.
Okay, so of course we end up with northern climates where we have cooler temperatures. Right. We get the winter and deep freeze areas. I know it's been cold all over the place this year, that's for sure. But you have the northern climates and then you have the southern climates. Right. And so tell us a little bit about the different types of crack sealer that you'd use for the cooler climates versus the warmer.
Okay, well the biggest thing is softening point, or how soft the material is. Up north, up in the mountains, you'll see a lot of what they use is 6690 type 2 or 4, excuse me, type 4. It's a soft material. It's about 150 degrees softening point, extremely flexible. And it never really gets above probably 60, 70 degrees in a lot of places. So it flexes all year round. It's not going to soften up. It's not going to track. It's not going to do any of that. So when you're talking colder weather, you want that material that will flex, because as it gets colder, we understand that road opens up wider. Mm-hmm. And with that, this material will flex better. It's just made for that climate. But if you're talking a climate like, let's say Arizona, right, it's a harder material. The softening point on that can be anywhere between 210 and 200 degrees. It's not going to track. They use a product called, it's a type 4 material, or it's a.
Just go back over that.
Yeah. So what they use in Arizona is a harder material, a harder crack sealer. We used to joke in the fact that when I started, I was in Oregon, and the material they used, we always joked that you could crack seal in the sun with it. It was just hard. It was set for the hotter temperatures, and that's what, when you're looking, the first part here, we talked about where to look at and what products to use. Mm-hmm. Some people have tried to use the 6690 type 4 down south,
right,
and it softens up. It's tacky. It doesn't work right. it works, it still flexes, it's just really soft. So that's where the temperature comes in. You kind of have to talk to the manufacturer, talk to your sales rep and say, which one is the better use for this?
For the environment.
For the environment, for whatever, for the application that you're putting it down in. Right material, right time, right application.
Understood. And if there was one particular type of crack sealer that you would use as a universal, let's say, right, you're working in universally in the north and in the south, and somebody was picking a universal product, what product would you choose?
I don't know that there is such a thing, to be honest with you. A lot of people still use an ASTM 6669 or 6690 Type 2. The softening point on that's about 175 to 180. It flexes very well. But when you start, it's got a bond of -20. So you can go up north with it, but you still may see cohesive failure. You just want to have the right temperature. But a lot of people use 221, but it's too soft when you start going south. So in the middle of the country, a lot of people use that 6690 Type 2 just because it works very well on everything. And that's roadways. We're not talking parking lots. So parking lots is a whole different breed.
That's great. And by the way, if you click on the link down there below in the description, we also have an infographic that speaks to you about no matter where you're located and what region, we have the right crack sealer that matches your specific needs. And of course, you can reach out to us anytime. With our salespeople, we can guide you accordingly and make sure you choose the right product for your environment, as we've been talking about here, Tack. Great, excellent. So, the majority of our clients at Asphalt Kingdom are doing parking lots and commercial type work. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So with parking lots, it's a different breed, and I said that when I talk about they're a different ball game. The idea is roadways, you have constant fast-moving traffic going across it. There's no stop and go when you're on highways, even roads and intersections. It's still fairly quick. With parking lots, you've got a lot of power turns. Power turns are the big thing. You've got power turns, slow-moving cars, quick stops, all of that. So when you're looking at a parking lot, what you want is a material that is basically a parking lot sealer, a lot of times is what they'll call it. And the idea is the material will cure quick, but it'll still be flexible, but it's made for the power turns. It's made for the slow moving vehicles. It's made for that whole scenario of what you're doing. And depending on if with the clientele you have, some of them, there's a direct fire unit or a direct fire material, and then there's an indirect fire material. Indirect fire materials a lot of times will be in double boiler tanks like we have back here. And the idea is the crack seal is actually being melted with oil, heat transfer oil around it. Some people use it. There's an air jacketed one also, but you're using the whole tank to melt the material. Or an indirect fire, like the Rhino Works you have over here, you drop it in, the heat's going to one section. You still have to agitate it, but it's not gonna burn. And that's what you're looking at. When you burn material turns into either taffy or it doesn't set up at all. And when I talk about taffy, if you open up one of the machines, you can actually look inside and it looks like a saltwater taffy maker. And you're sitting there and it's 400 degrees, you can't touch it, but it's not gonna pour. So when you either have that or you have material that sets up that you'll go back to weeks later, stick your finger into, and it's still goo. So you've already burned it. And the biggest thing is people go, how do you fix that? When it's goo, you can't fix that. Unless you can scrape it out and clean it again.
You've cooked it.
Yeah, you've cooked it.
Yeah.
And you can smell it.
And you can also see with crack sealers sometimes on direct fire melters, you can see that people may overheat their units, bring them up to 450, 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and it crystallizes the bottom as well. And next thing you know, you're in there with a chisel or an impact gun on these direct fire units. So it's really important to maintain temperatures as well as per manufacturer's spec, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. And then the other thing is if you see yellow smoke pouring out of there, back away because it's about ready to flash.
Really important safety tip for you there. Do not stand around with yellow smoke coming out of that thing. Make sure you turn your unit off immediately and step away from it, right away. Yeah,
don't open the lid. Bad things have happened for those people who have just opened the lid. It's flashed, it's not good.
Yeah, be safe. Make sure you're wearing all your safety gear as well.
Yes. So sidewalks and parking lots. Sidewalks, not so much. With Techcrete, we do have there are gray mastics out there, but it's soft enough that most of the time you don't want it in a walkway. They do use it, it does work, but just to promote it, it's you have to be careful on how to do that.
answer honestly, because frankly, I'm not a big fan of doing that. But
Aesthetically, it looks terrible crap. Yeah, it looks bad. Aesthetically, it's horrible, but the reason people do use it like that is it's cheaper.
Yeah.
When you're talking a great crack sealant, it's polymers and resins, so there's no asphalt in it. So when you look at the difference in pricing between the two, the idea is it is more expensive because asphalt is actually what cuts the cost on crack sealant a lot of the times because it's just abundant. When you're talking polymers and resins, and when we talk about polymers, we're actually talking about the things, the product that makes your bottom of your tennis shoes, that type of thing that helps with flexibility. But it's more expensive, it works better, it's aesthetically pleasing, nobody's going to complain. Crack sealant will work in the concrete. You just have to realize that when you put that crack sealant in that gray concrete, it's going to be black, it's going to stick out. And you'll see that a lot of, like DOTs will use it a lot of times on bridge decks, and it'll look polka dotted. And people don't like that. It's understandable. It's
snakes and ladders.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why there are gray materials out there. There is a gray crack sealant. It's just expensive, and it is a indirect fire material. So if you're looking to just do it in a parking lot, you've got to get a machine. The other thing is anything that goes from black or gray to black is easy. When you have to go black to gray, or black to gray, you have to clean that out, and there's a lot of waste when it comes to that, just because what'll happen is that black will make it look cocoa, and then all of a sudden you'll see it lighten to the point where it's gray, but it's taking you a while to get there, and there's a lot of money that goes out the door with that product. It's still a great product, still works very well, it's still what it's made for, but there is time and there's money involved.
So can we apply crack sealer on concrete surfaces?
Yes, you can. It's just, it'll bond to it, it'll be there, it'll do its job. It's just unsightly. A lot of people don't like it. It's not aesthetically pleasing. So you can put crack sealant in concrete. It's inexpensive, it works, it does its job. It's just unsightly. People notice it aesthetically, that they'll notice it from ways away. So depending on what you're doing and how you want your property to look, gray for concrete, it's just that they have to understand they have to do it in an indirect machine rather than a direct fire machine.
Tad, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you and your team. Crafco is an absolutely amazing company. The quality of products, the team members that support our accounts, and of course all of our wonderful customers is so appreciated. We're very, very grateful. It's great to be here at Pavex with you, man.
Sir.
Let's keep heating up the floor.
Sounds great. Thank you,
brother.
sir.
Thanks.